Here's the first episode of Walking in the Park with Scot Davenport. I'm walking around looking like a weirdo, but I guess it could look like I'm just talking to someone on my phone on FaceTime. The other day I was doing cardio. That's what I'm doing right now. Just walk. That's all I'm doing. 45 minutes, 7 days a week. 45 minutes of walking. Not at a fast pace, probably 3 miles per hour. But the other day I did my cardio and went for my walk, and I use a timer on my phone, and I had forgot to turn the timer off and went about my day. And I don't know why I went and checked my timer again, but I did. I don't remember what it was for, but I looked at it and it said 10 hours. You know, it was at 10 hours. 10 hours later, I checked it. My timer's up to 10 hours. And it just kind of made me think, like, what if I had just done cardio for 10 hours? And that might seem kind of like a ridiculous idea to do cardio for 10 hours, but I've actually done it before. When I was 15, I went on this hike through the Marble Mountains and hiked about 10 hours a day, every day. And I had a, pretty heavy pack on, and I was hiking up hills and stuff. And there was actually this guy, man, I can't remember his name, but me and him were the two fastest guys, and we used to go pretty hard against each other. And I think it took about I want to say 20 days to hike 100 miles. I think that's what it was. And in 20 days, I lost 20 pounds. I think I started out at 205, and I dropped down to 185. So a pound a day. Now, that brings me to another thing that I was thinking about. Because I talk to a lot of people. A lot of people reach out to me and ask me questions about working out. I post a lot of stuff of my strength training I've done, and just documenting stuff. I like to document things. I've always liked to. Even before I ever had a camera or anything, I had journals and stuff like that where I document stuff. But a lot of people ask me a lot of questions, and it's kind of surprising to me, the misinformation, I guess, that's out there. And I guess I would say the lack of accurate knowledge people have on training and stuff like that. A lot of people hear things and think things, but they don't really have any actual understanding of, let's say, for example, how to lose fat. It's pretty simple, actually. One, you have to burn more calories than you consume. That's the starting point. So you have a basic metabolic rate. So there's a basic metabolism your body has just to survive, I guess survive is the best word. And I'm just going to break down real simply how your body works and the different energy sources that your body uses, the different fuel sources. But you have two different types of activities that your body can perform, right? Physically, anaerobic and aerobic. Now, what's the difference? Anaerobic is something that cannot be sustained. So, sprinting. If you do a 40-yard sprint or a 100-yard sprint, it's a short distance at 100% speed, right? And the reason it's anaerobic is it's not fueled by oxygen. It's fueled by your muscles, which are fueled by glucose. Glucose is stored in your muscles, which is converted from carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get converted into glucose into your muscles and is the fuel source for anaerobic activity. Okay? And that's what you use for like strongman, bodybuilding, sprinting, weight training. And it's like, if I do as many reps as possible in a curl, at a certain point, there's a failure point where I cannot continue anymore. I can't do another rep. That's anaerobic. And the reason is because my muscle depleted all of the glucose to fuel it. And something that was really popular, which I'm not sure how popular it is or not anymore. I never got really great results off of it, but was using creatine. And the reason creatine was really popular is because when your muscle runs out of glucose, the energy source it switches to is creatine. And you could get a couple more reps. So let's just say you did 10 reps and you're out of glucose. Creatine kicks in and you can get a couple more reps. If you don't have any creatine, you're only getting 10 reps. You got creatine, you're getting 13. I never noticed a big difference. I never noticed great results from using creatine. But that was the selling point on it, which would be a great, huge selling point for bodybuilding training. In particular, it's not going to be so useful for like powerlifting. You're not really depleting the glucose in your muscles. You're just doing a maximum effort. It's more neurological than anything. Your body's ability to fire all of its muscle fibers into a movement, which is genetically predetermined to a great degree, and trained. You could train it, practice. You're not going to improve your neurological ability really, though. So a lot of it's genetics when it comes to performance in particular, and results. So how big your muscles can get, that's genetically predetermined, and there's not really anything you could do about it. The width of a muscle cannot exceed the length of the muscle. Can't, right? Or else it won't be able to contract. So if you have short muscles and long tendons, right? So you have a muscle belly and then you have a tendon. You can look at your muscles and flex them and see if you have a long muscle belly and a short tendon, or you have a short muscle belly and a long tendon. If you have a short muscle belly and a long tendon, you're not going to have big muscles. You're not going to be able to become a pro bodybuilder or something. It's just not going to happen. A lot of really skinny people They just have really short muscle bellies, and they can't get big. You know, not anybody can get big. It's genetics. You can get bigger. Anybody can get bigger, but not anybody can get really big. That's something that people don't seem to understand. They seem to think that there's things you could do to train to change your genetics, but you can't. Not everybody could look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's not possible. That guy just had like some of the best genetics of anyone ever in history for bodybuilding. Back to the fat burning. So aerobic activity is fueled by oxygen, right? So your respiratory system, we breathe in oxygen, it goes through our lungs, into our respiratory system, into our bloodstream. And how does it get through our bloodstream? It's pumped by the heart. Our heart pumps oxygen through our bloodstream. Now, this is very interesting. A lot of people don't understand this, and I find it very interesting, but the heart is the only muscle in the body fueled by fat. So the muscles are fueled by glucose and creatine. The heart is fueled by fat. So you're always burning fat if you're alive, because your heart's beating, right? Now, where muscle comes into play in fat burning is your heart is pumping that fuel to the muscles. So your heart, your respiratory system, your cardiovascular system actually supports your muscular system. It's the support system. It's the backup system. So the heart pumps oxygen to the muscles to fuel them for aerobic activity. Now, any activity you do is aerobic activity, right? Because your heart is beating to fuel your body with oxygen to do that activity. It's always beating. And to be fair, even anaerobic activity is aerobic technically, because aerobic activity will actually increase your heart rate. Anaerobic activity will increase your heart rate probably more than anything. If you do the hardest set of sprints or the hardest set of squats you've ever done in your life, your heart rate's going to be like 200 beats per minute. But the reason it's anaerobic is because you can't sustain it. There's a failure point. But getting your heart rate up to 200 beats per minute requires a lot of oxygen and is cardiovascular exercise, because cardiovascular exercise is training your heart rate. Dang, there's all kinds of dogs barking. I'm gonna turn around because I don't even want to hear it. Man, that would be annoying. My dog barks and I hate it. That though is just ridiculous. Their neighbors probably aren't super stoked about that, but the more muscle you have, the more oxygen is required to fuel the muscles. So any activity you do is going to elevate your heart rate more and burn more fat. So a more muscular person is going to have a higher metabolic rate, basic metabolic rate, BMR, right? And burn more calories so you can consume more calories and get lean. Dorian Yates, Mr. Olympia, I think he said he was eating like 4,500 calories, getting shredded for bodybuilding. And that's why the art of bodybuilding is having as much muscle as possible and as little fat as possible. And so it's more about body composition than weight. People get obsessed with weight loss. When I started dieting, I probably lost 10 pounds in a week when I first started. But it was probably water weight, because you're cutting a lot of sodium. Sodium causes you to retain water. And I just lost 10 pounds of water. Okay? I want to lose fat. So I go about it in a specific way, eating a specific diet. And you're trying to get your body to store calories as muscle and burn body fat. And a lot of this I learned too from Justin Harris, who's like a genius. He's a nutritionalist. And he broke it down, the third law of thermodynamics, which is energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? So you cannot break the third law of thermodynamics. It's not possible. So that means if you consume a certain amount of calories, or say you're storing a lot of fat, it's because you're eating too many calories. And that's just a fact. You might have a very slow metabolism. You might not burn a lot you might have issues with your hormones. You might have a thyroid issue. And so you might not burn a lot of calories, because you might go, I don't even eat that much and I'm super fat. Well, you might have been born with a lot of fat cells in your body, for one. You might have thyroid issues, so you don't burn a lot of fat, for two. And your diet might not be good. You might not be very active too. You can figure it out. Anybody can burn fat. Anyone can get leaner, maybe not super lean. Anyone can get stronger, maybe not super strong. Anyone can get bigger, maybe not super big. But anybody can improve, right? And so the art of bodybuilding is getting your body to store calories as muscle, which you do through training. So when you train and you break down the muscles by lifting weights, your body wants to adapt and grow and store protein as muscle. And then it's good to consume carbohydrates as a fuel source for glucose. If you don't consume any carbohydrates and you do like keto, your body will convert fat or protein into glucose. It's just, it's a slow, inefficient process, but it is good for weight loss. A lot of the initial weight loss with keto is going to be water weight. And even just glucose storages are going to be down. So you're going to lose a lot of weight. It's not going to be fat initially, but then your body becomes a fat burning machine because you're running on fats instead of carbohydrates. So maybe not the most efficient for athletic performance, but it is good, for burning fat, getting your body into a fat burning mode. Learned a lot about this from Bill Widler, Primal Nutrition. He's very, very educated, very smart on the subject. Great guy to utilize for advice. He's 6'2", 260, under 10% body fat, like shredded, built like The Rock, freaking ridiculous. So, very knowledgeable guy, passionate about fitness. So, anyways, I hope that cleared that up. And I guess the message I kind of wanted to share in the first place, though, was I was thinking about it and I was like, You could do cardio for 10 hours. You'll burn tons of calories, tons of fat. Can be done if you prioritize it. And how do I know all this stuff? Because I spent 10 hours freaking studying it for freaking years. Like, you know, I think about it, and it's something I joke about at work because I have all this knowledge that I don't put to use really in my profession. Because I was interested in things and studied them. And, but you know, you can do that with anything. You can learn whatever you want. The information's out there, and you can work on anything too. Like if you're really messed up, you could easily spend 10 hours a day working on your spiritual health, prioritizing it, and get right. Or you could do cardio if you dramatically need to lose fat. Do cardio 10 hours a day. If you need to learn something, study 10 hours a day. Do it. If you need skills as a fighter, do training 10 hours a day. You could do that. Develop your skills. Just set your mind to it and do it. So, I don't know if I'll do another one of these videos. I want to do in the truck with Scot Davenport. Got a new truck. Just haven't done it yet, but I will. Posted a photo update, front double bicep for my bodybuilding competition. 10 weeks out, I'm 238 pounds. I might be 237, 236 now, just from walking. Probably water weight though. But, you know, I just trained, and now I'm doing my 45 minutes of cardio afterwards. Just for fat burning, that's the purpose of it. That's why I'm doing it. To burn more calories than I consume, to lose weight, to burn fat. Yeah, I'll keep posting updates. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. You know, conversations I have with people, try to put them on these videos. You know, if anybody's interested. I do find it interesting though that people don't know these things, that your heart, so cardio burns fat. People tend to know that. They don't know why. It's because your heart is the only muscle in your body fueled on fat. So if you want to burn fat, get your heart rate up. However, any way you could do that, just do it. Any kind of movement's going to do it. And the more muscle you have, the more fat you're going to burn. Right? Because your heart supports your muscles. That's why it beats. So, yeah, 10 weeks out, 238 pounds. If I lose 2 pounds a week, approximately, over 10 weeks, it's going to be 20 more pounds. That would put me at 218. We'll see where I come in at. I'm hoping to add some more muscle. So, because this is about body composition again. One thing I have always said that's really interesting is as you get smaller, you look bigger. I always used to think it was funny because I was a big guy, pretty big guy. 200, you know, I got up to 284 at one point. That's the biggest I ever stepped on a scale and weighed, was 284. But a lot of that was water retention, bloating, eating tons of carbs and sodium. So I would say 270 though is probably the biggest I ever was, like, consistently. And I had 19-inch arms. But I also had like a 58-inch chest, or 56 or something like that. So my arms didn't look that big because proportionally my arms weren't that big. But I had 19-inch arms. It's pretty big. And a lot of times I'd see guys that just looked like they had huge arms, but they were so small. It was really just because they wear a medium shirt, where I was in a 2 or 3XL shirt. I didn't look like I had very big arms. A lot of people probably just thought I was like a fat guy, but could bench press 500 pounds. I had 19-inch arms. Those are the biggest I ever measured them. I never got them to 20 inches. I don't know if I could genetically. I don't know if I maxed out my genetics. Probably not. I probably could have 20-inch arms, but definitely don't think I could have like 24-inch arms like Ronnie Coleman or something. That guy had crazy genetics for big arms. But I've had 19-inch arms. My arms are not going to be 19 inches in this bodybuilding competition because I'm losing weight, dieting down. I don't know what they'll be. I would love them to be 18 inches, hopefully. But they'll look way bigger the smaller I get. That's why I'm doing update pictures and stuff too, because I want to document it and see. Because the smaller my waist gets, the bigger everything else is going to look. My arms are going to look bigger. My legs are going to look bigger. And so a big part of bodybuilding is it's an illusion, really. And it's more proportion than just mass, I guess, would be the word that I would use for that. Because you think of bodybuilding as a big guy. Well, the biggest bodybuilders are big guys, but there's bigger guys, strongman guys, way bigger than bodybuilders. They don't look as big though, because they don't have that illusion of that small waist and the shoulder to waist ratio is what makes you look a lot bigger as a bodybuilder. And having a small waist makes your arms look bigger. What I just said makes your legs look bigger. And I did diet down once when I was 19, and I remember my arms looking huge, and they weren't that big though. They looked big because I was so lean. I remember my uncle, who's not big on giving compliments, he told me, and he said this to a lot of people for a long time, he said he's going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger because he saw what I looked like one day after I worked out. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I know the kind of shape I can get in, and I want to exceed that. That's kind of my goal with this bodybuilding competition, is I want to exceed the shape I got in, the best shape ever, when I was 19, 20 years old. I actually looked better after I dieted. I came off the diet and I did the rebound, because what happened was I gained a bunch of size. After you diet really strict, you gain a bunch of size and you don't gain fat for a while. Your body you build muscle like no other time in your life. That's the best I ever was after I dieted down. So I was probably 20 when I looked my best. I dieted down when I was 19. When I was 20, I got a little bigger, stayed lean, and looked really good. But you wouldn't think it, from how I looked doing powerlifting and strongman and stuff. But I always knew that it was there and I could do it. And finally made up my mind to do it, kind of a part of the inspiration was health concerns. I was not very healthy being 270. Wasn't very healthy. And I was starting to have some health issues, high blood pressure, stuff like that. Had actually started affecting my kidneys, because high blood pressure does that. It really stresses your kidneys. And I was like, I got to make a change for my health, for my family. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get in the best shape of my life, do a bodybuilding competition. And I've gotten in that shape before, so I know I could do it again. It's not something that I'm not sure, I don't know. I do know. I've done it before. I can get very lean. It's not easy for me as some people. My legs actually are always really lean naturally, but my waist, it's hard for me. I have to get very low body fat percentage to get that down to where I want it. But I've done it before, could do it again. Doing it now. That's 30 minutes. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, whatever, all that stuff. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me or comment on my videos.